he kept the beehives on the hill behind his home. 50 years of honey and the bees he'd let to roam. His grandson after 7 came to watch him work the comb. A boy with no daddy looking for a place to call a home. Saul said, "Come here, little fella, let me show you the bees. Don't you be afraid now, son, just move with the breeze." He lifted up a honeycomb, all golden in the light. A beekeeper and a grandson in the morning bright. Some hives hold a lesson sweet, some grandpas make it complete. He said, "Grandpa, why the bees don't sting you when you're near?" I said, "Son, they know a gentle heart, they got nothing to fear." Said, "You move slow and easy, and you'll understand, a beekeeper's honey from a patient hand. That's the beekeeper's honey, that's the beekeeper's honey. Sweeter than money, that's the beekeeper's honey." Solly taught the boy the patience that the bees require, how to move without no fear and quell the heart's desire. Said, "Your daddy left you, son, but the bees, they never will. They make their honey faithful on this quiet little hill." He gave the boy a hive of his own to tend and keep. Taught him how the gentle gather what the careless reap. The boy, he found a father in the buzzing golden air. A beekeeper's honey made of patience and of care. Some hives hold a lesson sweet, some grandpas make it complete. He said, "Grandpa, why the bees don't sting you when you're near?" Said, "Son, they know a gentle heart, they got nothing to fear." Said, "You move slow and easy, and you'll understand, a beekeeper's honey from a patient hand. That's the beekeeper's honey, that's the beekeeper's honey. Sweeter than money, that's the beekeeper's honey." Oh, one hive, one comb, one boy found home, one grandpa stay true, yeah. Solly passed one autumn with the hives all tucked for cold. The grandson grown and steady with the patience he'd been told. He keeps the bees on the hill now, the golden honey flows, teaching his own children how the gentle gather grows. He bottles up the honey with his grandpa's name in gold, gives it to the fatherless boys, a sweetness to behold. The hill, it hums with summer, and the lesson lives on. A beekeeper's honey and a grandpa never gone. He said, "Grandpa, why the bees don't sting you when you're near?" I said, "Son, they know a gentle heart, they got nothing to fear." Said, "You move slow and easy, and you'll understand, a beekeeper's honey from a patient hand. That's the beekeeper's honey, that's the beekeeper's honey. Sweeter than money, that's the beekeeper's honey." Saul, he rests on a hill neath the humming trees, and the grandson tends the golden bee. 3 generations where the sweetness runs free, carrying on the beekeeper's honey, beekeeper's honey. He mailed a birthday card every single year to a daughter who would never call, who held him so unclear. He left when she was little, and the guilt it ate him whole. A card to say I love you to a long estranged soul. He he'd write it at the kitchen table at the 9 o'clock, hoping that this year she'd answer, hoping she'd unlock. He said, baby girl, I'm sorry for the daddy that I'd been. A birthday card of penance that he sent year after win. Some cars they carry home for a love that learned to cope. They said, Sashi never writes you, why you send it still? I said, cause I'm her daddy and I always will. I always will. Said maybe this year's the year that she'll forgive, that she'll forgive. A birthday card's a way to live. That's the birthday card. That's the birthday card. Love that's never barred. That's the birthday card. 20 years of cards he sent and never heard a word. Besides, he kept on mailing every loving hope for 3rd of March. Her birthday faithful with a 20 tucked inside, and a note that said I love you and I'm sorry that I lied. She kept them all unopened in a shoebox in her closet. Too hurt to read the words, but too loving to deposit them in the trash. She saved them all those years of his regret. A birthday card of a father that the daughter couldn't forget. Some cars they carry home, some cars they carry home for a love that learned to cope. They said, Sashi never writes you, why you send it still? Why you send it still? Cause I'm her daddy and I always will. I always will. This year's the year that she'll forgive, that she'll forgive. A birthday card's a way to live. That's the birthday card. That's the birthday card. Love that's never barred. That's the birthday card. Oh, one card, 1 year, 1 dad, sincere, 1 girl, save them, save them. 1 card, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 girl, 1 dad, 1 card. Save them. 1 March, she finally opened all the cards she'd saved. Read the 20 years of sorries that her daddy braved. She drove to his old house with the shoebox in her hand. Found him gray and frail now, struggling to stand. She said, Daddy, I forgive you. I read them every one. He wept and held his daughter, said, my baby, what I've done. They had a few good years before the old man passed away. A birthday card had built a bridge across the long lost day. They said, Sashi never writes you, why you send it still? I say, cause I'm her daddy and I always will. I always will. Said maybe this year's the year that she'll forgive, that she'll forgive. A birthday card's a way to live. That's the birthday card. That's the birthday card. Love that's never barred. That's the birthday card. Sigh, he passed, but the daughter sends cards to her own children, making amends. Never letting silence leave a scar. Carrying on the love of the birthday card. Tobias struck the anvil in the forge on Iron Bend. 40 years of hammering and the steel he'd learned to bend. Came a man at the noon o'clock with his hat down in his hand. Said, Smith, my boy has passed away and I can't afford the land. No money for a marker, just a hole and a name. Tobias set his hammer down, said, now that is a shame. Said, I'll forge your boy across from the iron lying in my fire. A blacksmith giving dignity to a father's sad desire. Some iron holds a prayer, some iron holds a prayer. Some blacksmiths show they care. Oh, he said, how much for the iron and the forging of the cross? I said, sir, you keep your money in the time of your loss. He said, I'll hammer out a marker for your boy so fine. A boy so fine. A blacksmith's cross to mark the line. That's the blacksmith's cross. That's the blacksmith's cross. Steel for the lost. That's the blacksmith's cross. Tobias worked the forge all night with the bellows and the flame. Hammered out a cross of iron with the dead boy's name. He'd lost a son himself in the fever years ago, buried in a pauper's field with nothing there to show. So he forged the crosses free for the children that had died, the poor and the forgotten that the world had cast aside. He set the cross upon the grave where the father wept, a blacksmith's iron promise that the dignity was kept. Some iron holds a prayer, some iron holds a prayer. Some blacksmiths show they care. Oh, he said, how much for the iron and the forging of the cross? I said, sir, you keep your money in the time of your loss. Said, I'll hammer out a marker for your boy so fine. Your boy so fine. A blacksmith's cross to mark the line. That's the blacksmith's cross. That's the blacksmith's cross. Steel for the lost. That's the blacksmith's cross. One fight, one fight, one day, one cross, one day was made. One boy, mark true, one fight, one fight. Word spread of the blacksmith and the crosses that he gave. The dignity of iron for the children in the grave. The whole town brought him scraps of steel to keep his forge alight, so he never run from iron for the poor folks' plight. When Tobias passed away, they marked his grave with steel, a cross forged by his apprentice with the love that he could feel. Now the young smith hammers crosses for the children gone too soon. A blacksmith's cross of mercy neath the forges afternoon. He said, how much for the iron and the forging of the cross? I said, sir, you keep your money in the time of your loss. Said, I'll hammer out a marker for your boy so fine. Your boy so fine. A blacksmith's cross to mark the line. That's the blacksmith's cross. That's the blacksmith's cross. Steel for the lost. That's the blacksmith's cross. Tobias arrest neath the iron he made, and the forge still burns where the crosses are laid. For the children gone, the apprentice across, carrying on the blacksmith's cross. In the cold part of the year, brush and rope and ladder when the winter drew near. Got a call at the 8:05 from my house upon the rise. A mama and her children with the frost upon their eyes. She said, sir, our chimney's blocked and we got no heat at all. Cliffy grabbed his brushes, said, now ma'am, I'll take the call. Drove out through the snowfall to a drafty little shack. A frozen family huddled in a fireplace gone black. Some sweep, some block the cold, and the warmth that they hold. freezes while I gotta brush. A clean chimney's worth the rush. That's the chimney sweep. That's the chimney sweep. The warmth that he'll keep. That's the chimney sweep. That's the chimney sweep. Oh, warmth that he'll keep. Oh, that's the chimney sweep. He climbed the icy roof and he swept the chimney clear. Years of soot and a bird's nest were the blocking of the cheer. He built a roaring fire from the wood stack by the door. Said, now you got your heat back, ma'am, and I'll bring you more. He saw the empty cupboards and the children's threadbare clothes. Slipped a folded 20 where the mama never knows. Said, I grew up cold myself till the sweep came around one day. A chimney sweep of kindness chasing winter's cold away. Some sweep, some block the cold and the warmth that they hold. She said, how much for the sweeping? I got nothing I can spare. I said, ma'am, you keep your money, just get warm in there. Said, no family freezes while I gotta brush. A clean chimney's worth the rush. That's the chimney sweep. That's the chimney sweep. Warmth that he'll keep. That's the chimney sweep. That's the chimney sweep. One brush, one flue, one fire. Burn through one family kept warm. That family made it through the winter warm and well. And the kindness of the chimney sweep became a tale they tell. One of those children grew up and became a sweep himself, climbing icy rooftops for the family short on wealth. He found old Cliff still working, though his back had bent with years. Said, you swept our chimney free that day and chased away our fears. Now they sweep the floor for free through the cold and bitter deep. A chain of winter kindness from the chimney sweep. She said, how much for the sweeping? I got nothing I can spare. I said, ma'am, you keep your money, just get warm in there. Said, no family freezes while I gotta brush. A clean chimney's worth the rush. That's the chimney sweep. The chimney sweep. Warmth that he'll keep. That's the chimney sweep. That's the chimney sweep. Cliffy passed, but the brush is sweet. Free for the families the winters keep. And the boys swept the rooftops deep, carrying on the heart of the chimney sweep. Verlin Birdie milked the cows at the 4 in the morning. 50 years of dairy since the day that they were born. Into a married life out on a county road 11. Side by side at the milking like a little slice of heaven. He said, morning, Birdie, darling, and she said, morning, dear. The same words every sun up for near on 50 years. Their hands, they moved together at the udder and the pail. A love grown in the dairy that the years could never fail. Some dawns hold a vow, hold a vow. Some milking is a how. She said, Virl, you still adore me after all this time. I said, Birdie, every morning is a reason and a rhyme. Said the cows, they don't care, darling, but I always will, I always will. A dairy dawn upon the hill, that's the dairy dawn. That's the dairy dawn. Love carrying on, that's their children in the milk house and the barn, spinning out their merry life like a cozy yarn. Through the lean years and the good years, the floods and the drought, side by side at the milking, that's what it's about. Verl said you was the prettiest girl in all the county. Why? Birdie laughed and said, you fool, I'm wrinkled by your side. He said you're prettier than ever in the lantern's morning glow, a dairy dawn of devotion that the cows would never know. Some dawns hold a vow, some milking is a how. She said, girl, you still adore me after all this time. I said, Birdie, every morning is a reason and a rhyme. Said the cows, they don't care, darling, but I always will, I always will. A dairy dawn upon the hill, that's the dairy dawn. That's the dairy dawn. Love carrying on. That's the dairy dawn. One bond, one pail. Two hearts, won't fail. One dawn, each day. Whoa, Birdie passed one winter and the barn felt awful still. Burley kept on milking at the dawn up on the hill. He say, morning, Birdie, darling, to the empty milking stall. And he swore he heard her answer in the lantern and the all. Their daughter milks beside him now to ease the lonely ache. But Verl still greets his Birdie for the love and memory's sake. The cows still need the milking at the fall before the day. A dairy dawn of devotion that won't ever fade away. She said, Verl, you still adore me after all this time. I said, Birdie, every morning is a reason and a rhyme. Said the cows, they don't care, darling, but I always will, I always will. A dairy dawn upon the hill, that's the dairy dawn. That's the dairy dawn. Love carrying on. That's the dairy dawn. Burley passed, and they laid him near his bride on the hill by the barn, side by side. And their daughter milks the cows at the lantern spawn. Love living on in the dairy dawn. But he took Lorraine's hand at the 7 sharp one night. Drove down to the starlight where they'd met in younger light. 50 years of marriage and the hall still standing there, where a boy first asked a girl to dance with flowers in her hair. He said, Lorraine, you remember when I asked you for this floor? She said, buddy, I was 17 and you were such a bore. They laughed and took the dance floor as the band began to swing. 2 old kids returning to the joy of everything. Some halls still hold the young in the songs that they once sung. She said, buddy, can we still dance like we did way back when? I said, Lorraine, darling, let's show these young the slow song and the steps they used to know. The young folks cleared the floor for them and watched with smiling eyes. Two gray-haired kids in love beneath the spinning mirrored skies. Buddy spun Lorraine around like the summer of their youth, and in their eyes you saw it, the forever and the truth. The band, they played their wedding song, and the whole harlot cheered. Dance hall days returning through the laughter and the years. Some halls still hold the young in the songs that they once sung. She said, buddy, can we still dance like we did way back when? I said, Lorraine, darling, let's show these young folks how again. Said the years ain't taking nothing that the music can restore. The music can restore. Dance hall days like before. That's the dance hall days. That's the dance hall days. Love never fades. That's the dance hall days. One hall, one floor, two kids, once more, one love, still swings. They came back every Friday to the starlight on the hill, dancing through their golden years with a love that wouldn't still. When Lorraine grew too weak to dance, Buddy held her near, swayed her gentle on the floor through the final year. After she was gone, he came alone and stood a while, then danced with a memory and a bittersweet smile. Now the young folks learned the old steps that Buddy taught the floor. Dance hall days of a love that lives forevermore. She said, buddy, can we still dance like we did way back when? I said, Lorraine, darling, let's show these young folks how again. Said the years ain't taking nothing that the music can restore. The music can restore. Dance hall days like before. That's the dance hall days. That's the dance hall days. Love never fades. That's the dance hall days. But he passed in the starlight glows, where the young ones dance the steps he chose. Two lovers in the spinning haze, forever dancing the dance hall days. Mateo washed the dishes at the back of the cafe. 12 hours every evening for a meager bit of pay. Up to his elbows in the suds at the 9 o'clock, dreaming of a family, an ocean and a dock. He said, boss, I'll take the doubles, I'll take whatever's there, sending every dollar home with a father's care. A wife and 2 babies in a country far away, a dishwasher saving for the boat to bring them his way. Some sinks are full of dreams, some suds hold more than it seems. They said, why you work so hard for the lowest pay in town? I said, cause my family's coming, I won't let them down. I won't let them down. Said, every plate I'm scrubbing is $1 toward the day my baby sail across the bay. That's the dishwasher's dream. That's the dishwasher's dream. Worth more than it seems. That's the dishwasher's dream. Oh, Mateo saved for years in a coffee can he hid, $4,200 for the journey of his kid. The cookie saw him working, saw him never take a break, started slipping him the tips for his family sake. Said I came here on a boat too with nothing but my hands, a dishwasher who built a life in these foreign lands. The whole cafe they pitched in when they learned of his plan, a dishwasher's dream becoming a reunited clan. Some sinks are full of dreams, some sinks are full of dreams, some suds hold more than it seems. They said, why you work so hard for the lowest pay in town? I said, cause my family's coming, I won't let them down, I won't let them down. Said every plate I'm scrubbing is $1 toward the day my baby sail across the bay. That's the dishwasher's dream. Oh, that's the dishwasher's dream, worth more than it seems. That's the dishwasher's dream. One sink, one can, one dream, one plan, one family. Set sail, set sail. The day came at the harbor at the 4:43. Mateo stood there waiting for his family from the sea. His wife and 2 babies came running down the plank into the arms of the dishwasher who had the world to thank. The whole cafe was there to greet them, cheering on the dock, the cook and all the waiters who had helped them beat the clock. Now Mateo owns that cafe where he scrubbed the plates, a dishwasher's dream that the kindness consecrates. They said, why you work so hard for the lowest pay in town? I said, cause my family's coming, I won't let them down, I won't let them down. Said every plate I'm scrubbing is $1 toward the day my baby sail across the bay. That's the dishwasher's dream. Oh, that's the dishwasher's dream, worth more than it seems. That's the dishwasher's dream. Mateo's gray now, and his kids are grown. His kids are grown. He hires the newcomers far from home, helps them bring their families across the streams, carrying on the dishwasher's dreams. On 5th, 40 is a greeting with a kindness and a gift. He knew the name of everyone who passed beneath his hand, the widows and the children and the lonely and the grand. There's an old man on the 9th floor with no family at all. Gideon would check on him, would answer every call. He said, morning, Mr. Foster, you eat your breakfast yet? A doorman, more than a doorman, the kindest you could get. Some doormen hold the soul of a building, keep it whole. They said, Gideon, you just open doors, that's all you do. I said, no, I know these people, I see them through and through. See them through and through. Said I watch the lonely ones and I keep them near. A doorman's watch through every year. That's the doorman's watch. That's the doorman's watch. Nothing he'll botch. Oh, that's the doorman's watch. Mr. Foster fell ill in the winter of the year. Gideon brought him soup and sat to ease his fear. Said, you ain't got family, sir, so I'll be that for you. A doorman and a lonely man and a vine grown true. He take the old man's letters up, he fetch his evening meal, held his hand in the hospital, the realest kind of real. Said the door I hold ain't wood, it's the keeping of a heart. A doorman's watch that never lets the lonely ones depart. Some doorman hold the soul of a building, keeping whole. They said, Gideon, you just open doors, that's all you do. I said, no, I know these people, I see them. See them through and through. See them through and through. Said I watch the lonely ones and I keep them near. Doorman's watch through every year. That's the doorman's watch. That's the doorman's watch. Nothing he'll buy. That's the doorman's watch. One door, one man, one wife, one plan, one soul, kept near, kept near. When Mr. Foster passed away, he left the doorman more than money. Left a letter that said, you were my door, you were my only family in the lonely latter years. A doorman's watch of kindness worth 1,000 cheers. Gideon, he wept and kept that letter by his stand, greeting all the lonely with a warmer, gentler hand. When he retired, the building filled with all the souls he kept. A doorman's watch of love and the tears the tenants wept. They said, Gideon, you just open doors, that's all you do. I saw you do. I said, no, I know these people, I see them through and through. See them through and through. Said I watch the lonely ones and I keep them near. Doorman's watch through every year. That's the doorman's watch. That's the doorman's watch. Nothing he'll buy. That's the doorman's watch. Gideon passed and the Wexler stands. The young doorman learned to hold the hands of the lonely ones. The building's notch, carrying on the heart of the doorman's watch. Sully ran the elevator at the Grand Hotel. 50 years of up and down and the floors he knew so well. The last day at the 9:15 for the automatics came. He pulled the brass-handled lever for the final time the same. He said, this car has been my office since I was a young man. Carried presidents and lovers, did the best I can. Tomorrow it's a button and they won't need me no more. An elevator man riding down to the ground floor. Some cars hold a light, hold a light. Some levers outlast the strife. Oh, they said, Sully, it's just a job. Why the heavy frown? I said, this car carried this whole hotel up and down. Said, I know every floor and the souls that ride. An elevator man with pride. That's the elevator man. That's the elevator man, riding while he can. That's the elevator man. Sully knew the secrets of the floors and of the guests, the honeymoons, the heartbreaks, and the souls that he had blessed. He'd carried up the grieving and he carried down the joy. Been the steady, gentle hand for many a girl and boy. Said, I never had a fancy job, just a lever and a smile, but I made each rider welcome. the tremble in his hand. An elevator man saying goodbye to the grand. Some cars hold a light, some levers outlast the strife. They said, Sully, it's just a job. Why the heavy frown? I said, this car carried this whole hotel up and down. Said, I know every floor and the souls that ride. An elevator man with pride. That's the elevator man. That's the elevator man. Riding while he can. That's the elevator man. One car, one floor, one man, no more, one level, let go. One car, one floor. But the guests, they all remembered and they raised a mighty fuss. Said the grand ain't the same without old Sully in his bus. The owner kept him on as the keeper of the door, greeting all the riders like the days of yore. Now there's a brass plaque shining where he stood for all those years, and the young folks hear his stories with a smile behind their tears. He still rides up on Sundays when his old bones can. An elevator man and a legend, that's the plan. They said, Sonny, it's just a job. Why the heavy frown? I said, this car carried this whole hotel up and down. Said, I know every floor and the souls that ride. An elevator man with pride. That's the elevator man. In the car for the riders as they pass, and his stories ride up the gentle clang, carrying on the heart of the elevator man. Holloway, he carved the stones at the yard by the cemetery gate. 40 years of granite and the names he'd cut so straight. Came the word at the 9 o'clock of a vet who died alone, found beneath an overpass with no one and no stone. The county meant to bury him with a number, not a name. Holloway heard it and he said, now that's a shame. Said that man wore the uniform, he served us in the war. An engraver giving honor that the poor can't pay him for. Some stones restore a name to the ones the world won't claim. They said, why carve a stone for a man nobody knows? I said he was a soldier, he deserves the rose. Said I'll cut his name in granite, his unit and his rank. An engraver stone for the ones who sang. That's the engraver stone. That's the engraver stone. No one dies unknown. That's the engraver stone. Holloway, he tracked the records, found the soldier's name, a hero in a battle that had earned a medal's claim. He carved it deep in granite with the honor that was due. A purple heart engraved beneath the name he never knew. Said my own brother came home broken from a distant war, died forgotten on the streets behind a liquor store. So I carved the stones for the vets that no one comes to mourn. An engraver giving dignity to the lonely and forlorn. Some stones restore names to the ones the world won't claim. They said, why carve a stone for a man nobody knows? I said he was a soldier, he deserved the role. Said I'll cut his name in granite, his unit and his rank. the soldier lost came searching one spring day, found her father's grave with a granite stone that lay his name and rank in honors carved by a stranger's hand. She wept to know her daddy hadn't died without a brand. She found old Holloway carving and she thanked him through her tears. He said, your daddy was a hero, ma'am, despite the lonely years. Now there's a fund in the soldier's name for the vets who die unknown. An engraver giving honor in the granite and the stone. They said, why carve a stone for a man nobody knows? I said he was a soldier, he deserved the role. Said I'll cut his name in granite, his unit and his rank. A engraver stone for the ones who sank. That's the engraver stone. That's the engraver stone. No one dies unknown. Engraver stone. Holloway passed, but the chisel rings. Names in granite for the forgotten kings. Every lonely soldier gets a stone full grown, carrying on engraver stone. Dunny shot the horses out on the county line. 40 years of iron shoes and hoops so fine. Came a girl at the 4:15 leading a limping mare. Tears upon her freckled face and a worried, hopeless air. She said, sir, my horse is lame and the vet wants to put her down, but she's all I got, mister, the only friend in town. Dunny knelt beside the mare and he lifted up her hoof. Said, girl, let me have a look, let's find us the truth. Some farriers heal a heart with a hoof and a fresh start. Oh yeah. She said, how much to fix her? I got $1 and a dime. I said, girl, you keep your money, just give me some time. Just give me some time. Said, this mare ain't done for, there's an abscess in the shoe. A farrier can pull her through. That's the farrier's mare. That's the farrier's mare. Saved with his care. That's the farrier's mare. Dunny found the abscess that the vet had never seen. Drained it clean and shot her with an iron bright and keen. Said this mare's got years left in her, she just had a stone. The vet was too quick to give up on a friend. You've grown. The girl, she wept with joy and she hugged the farrier's neck. Said, you saved my only family from the slaughter and the wreck. He wouldn't take her $1, just patted the mare's side. Said, you ride a good and gentle girl with a farrier's pride. Some farriers heal a heart with a hoof and a fresh start. She said, how much to fix her? I got $1 and a dime. I said, girl, you keep your money, just give me some time. Just give me some time. Said, this mare ain't done for, there's an abscess in the shoe. A farrier can pull her through. That's the farrier's mare. That's the farrier's mare. Saved with his care. That's the farrier's mare. Oh, one hoof, one shoe, one mare. Pulled through, one girl, kept her friend. One hoof, one shoe, one mare. Pulled through, one girl, kept her friend. That girl, she grew up loving every horse upon the land. Became a county vet with a gentle knowing hand. She never gives up easy on a creature lame and worn. Remembers how a farrier saved her mare one more. She found old Don still shoeing, though his back had bent with years. Said, you taught me not to quit, you wiped away my just give me some time. Just give me some time. Since there ain't done for, there's an abscess in the shoe. In the shoe, a farrier can pull her through. That's the farrier's mare. That's the farrier's mare. Save with his care. That's the farrier's mare. Done passed, but the forge stays warm. The vet she shoes and keeps from harm. Every limping creature, every lane nightmare, carrying on the heart of the farrier's mare. Yeah. Sonny grew old. Sonny put the record on at the 9 o'clock at night for his dad who didn't know him in the soft and golden light. The dementia took her memory, took the years they'd grown. But Sonny kept on trying to reach the love he'd known. He held his hand out gentle, said, "Dot, will you dance with me?" She looked at him, a stranger lost in a fog at sea. But the music, it began to play their wedding song so dear. A first dance and a last dance and a love beyond the fears. Some songs unlock the past. Some songs unlock the past. Some love is built to last. She said, "Do I know you, mister? You seem so kind and near." I said, "Dot, I'm your husband. I've loved you 50 years." Said, "Just dance with me, my darling, to our wedding song." A first dance where the heart belongs. That's the first dance. That's the first dance last. Love holds steadfast. That's the first dance last. They sway there in the living room to the music soft and low. And something in old Dot's eyes began to glow. The fog, it lifted gentle as the melody it played. And she whispered, "Sonny, darling," like the vows that they had made. She said, "I remember dancing in a dress so white." He wept and held her closer in the kitchen light. For one sweet song she knew him, knew the love and knew his face. A first dance and a last dance in a fleeting holy grace. Some songs unlock the past. Some songs unlock the past. Some love is built to last. Oh, she said, "Do I know you, mister? You seem so kind and near." I said, "Dot, I'm your husband. I've loved you 50 years." Said, "Just dance with me, my darling, to our wedding song." A first dance where the heart belongs. That's the first dance last. Oh, that's the first dance last. Love holds steadfast. The first dance last. One song, one dance, one dance, one love, one chain, one chain, one die. Came back. Ooh. Every night thereafter, Sonny played their wedding song. And for a fleeting moment, Dot would know where she belonged. The dance became their language when the words, it slipped away. A love that found each other at the closing of the day. When Dot passed in the springtime, Sonny played it one last time. Danced alone in the living room to the melody sublime. Now he visits the memory ward and he plays the songs they knew. A first dance and a last dance, the love still breaking through. She said, "Do I know you, mister? You seem so kind and near." I said, "Dot, I'm your husband. I've loved you 50 years." Just dance with me, my darling, to our wedding song. A first dance where the heart belongs. That's the first dance last. Oh, that's the first dance last. Love holds steadfast. That's the first dance graveside in the rain. A folded flag held tight against the unspeakable pain. They played the mournful bugle at the 11 o'clock. Her soldier coming home in a box beneath the clock. The officer, he knelt and placed the flag into her hands. Said on behalf of a grateful nation and the lands. She held it to her chest where her heart had come undone. A folded flag and a widow and a war that took her son. Some flags hold a life, some folds hold all the strife. They said, man, we're so sorry for the son you gave. I said, he was my whole world, now he's in the grave. Said, I'll hold this flag forever, every star and stripe. A folded flag and a grief so right. That's the folded flag, that's the folded flag. No heavier drag, that's the folded flag, yeah. Coralie, she kept the flag in a case beside her bed. Talk to it each evening like the words she hadn't said. Her boy had been so young when he answered to the call. 19 years and a uniform, and now the flag was off. The neighbors came around her, the town it held her near. But the nights they were the hardest, with the flag and the fear. She'd touch the folded fabric and she'd feel her son inside. A folded flag, the only thing the war had not denied. Some flags hold a life, some folds hold all the strife. They said, man, we're so sorry for the son you gave. I said, he was my whole world, now he's in the grave. Said, I'll hold this flag forever, every star and stripe. A folded flag and a grief so right. That's the folded flag, that's the folded flag. No heavier drag, that's the folded flag. One flag, one son, one war, undone, one life, held on, held on, held on, Years went by and a young man knocked upon her door one day. Said, ma'am, your son, he saved my life that bloody distant day. He pulled me from the fire when the convoy came apart. I'm alive because your boy had such a brave and giving heart. Coralie, she wept to learn her son had saved a life. A meaning in the folding of the flag and all the strife. Now that young man visits yearly, calls a second mom. A folded flag of grief that found a measure of the calm. They said, man, we're so sorry for the son you gave. I said, he was my whole world, now he's in the grave. Said, I'll hold this flag forever, every star and stripe. A folded flag and a grief so right. That's the folded flag, that's the folded flag. No heavier drag, that's the folded flag, yeah. Coralie, she passed with the flag held near. The flag held near, the young man at her side through the final year. He keeps the flag now, the grateful flag, honoring forever the folded flag. Yeah. Yeah. Mary lit the lantern in the window facing west for her fisherman named Soren, who had sailed against the rest. The storm came up at the 9:15, the worst the coast had known, and the fishing boats came stumbling in but Soren stayed alone. She kept the lantern burning through the long and brutal night, a harbor light for a sailor who was lost out in the fight. She said, Soren, come on home now, follow my little flame. A wife and a window and a love that called his name. Some lights they wait for years, through the storm and through the tears. They said, Mary, let it go now, the sea has took him in. I said his boat could still be out there, riding on the wind. Said I'll keep the lantern burning every single night, a harbor light to guide him right. That's the harbor light, that's the harbor light, burning so bright. That's the harbor light. The town they said her Soren was lost beneath the wave, but Marin kept the lantern lit, refused to dig the grave. Every night for years she'd set the flame against the dark, a widow's faithful vigil, a love without a mar. She talked to him each evening as she trimmed the burning wick. Said the sea is wide, my darling, but my faith is thick. The fishermen would see her light still glowing in the night, a harbor light of love that the lost could not put right. Some lights they wait for years, through the storm and through the tears. They said, Mary, let it go now, the sea has took him in. I said his boat could still be out there, riding on the wind. Said I keep the lantern burning every single night, a harbor light to guide him right. That's the harbor light, that's the harbor light, burning so bright. That's the harbor light. One land, one sea, one love, faithfully, one light burned on. The lantern in the window became the harbor's heart, a symbol to the fishermen of love that won't depart. The young ones learned to set their own when the storms would rage, a harbor light for the lost ones, a faithful kind of gauge. When Marin passed, they found the lantern still aglow, a flame she kept for decades, for the love she never let go. Now the whole town keeps a harbor light in every window west, a harbor light of faithful love that guides the sea to rest. They said, Mary, let it go now, the sea has took him in. I said his boat could still be out there, riding on the wind. Said I'll keep the lantern burning every single night, harbor light to guide him right. That's the harbor light, that's the harbor light, burning so bright. That's the harbor light. Map has, but the lanterns glow in every window facing the undertow, guiding the lost ones home the right, carrying on the harbor light. Yeah. Miss Vivian made the hats in the shop on Velvet Road. 40 years of ribbon in the bow she learned to sew. Came a woman at the 4:15 with a scarf around her head, eyes that held the chemo and the tears she hadn't shed. She said, ma'am, I lost my hair and I can't bear to face the day. Vivian pulled a now, honey, come this way. Said, let me make you something soft and lovely just for you. A hat maker's gentle kindness for a heart broke through. Some hats restore a grace to a tired and frightened face. She said, how much for a hat so fine to hide my loss? I said, baby, just you wear it, don't you think about the cost. Said, I'll make you feel a queen through the hardest part. A hat maker's bow upon your heart. That's the hat maker's bow. That's the hat maker's bow. Dignity to show. That's the hat maker's bow. Vivian made her a hat of the softest velvet blue, with the bow upon the side and a brim that suited true. She lost her own dear sister to the very same disease. Knew the way a woman feels when the mirror brings unease. She made the hats for free for the women on the ward, the fighters and the weary that the sickness had ignored. She said, your beauty ain't your hair, it's the soul behind the eyes. A hat maker giving courage in a lovely small disguise. Some hats restore a grace to a tired and frightened face. She said, how much for a hat so fine to hide my loss? I said, baby, just you wear it, don't you think about the cost. Said, I'll make you feel a queen through the hardest part. A hat maker's bow upon your heart. That's the hat maker's bow. That's the hat maker's bow. Dignity to show. That's the hat maker's bow. One hat, one bow, one girl, a glow, one face, found grace. That woman, she beat the cancer in her hair, it grew back full, but she kept the velvet hat with the bow so beautiful. She came back to the shop on velvet to thank Miss Vivian for the dignity she given when her world was thin. She learned to make the hats and now she sews them for the war, the women fighting cancer that the velvet has restored. Two hat makers giving courage with a ribbon and a bow. A hat maker's gentle kindness that the grateful women know. She said, how much for a hat so fine to hide my loss? I said, baby, just you wear it, don't you think about the cost. Said, I'll make you feel a queen through the hardest part. A hat maker's bow upon your heart. That's the hat maker's bow. That's the hat maker's bow. Dignity to show. That's the hat maker's bow. Vivian passed, but the hat's still so soft for the women that the cancer know, and the survivor stitches every velvet rainbow, carrying on the gift of the hat maker's bow. Doc Bell drove the county roads for 50 years and 3 years. Black bag in the passenger seat and a healing guarantee. He'd come at any hour at the 2 or the 4. A country doctor knocking on the poorest cabin door. He never turned a soul away for the lack of a fee. Took his pay in chickens and in heartfelt gratuity. At 85, still driving to the sick and to the worn. A house call from a doctor in the cold and early morn. Some doctors come to you, that's the house call. That's the house call. Answering the call, that's the house call. That's the house call. Doc Bell had brought the babies and he closed the dying eyes, set the broken bones and eased the grieving families' his cries. He knew the whole county, every soul and every name, the richest and the poorest, he treated all the same. Say, my daddy was a doctor in the very hills, taught me that the healing matters more than the bills. He drove out in the blizzards when the ambulance couldn't go, a house call from a doctor that the county came to know. Some doctors come to you with a black bag and the truth. They said, Doc, you're too old to drive these roads at night. I said, as long as folks are ailing, I'll be the light. I'll be the light. I'll come to your cabin when the fever's high. A house call, the house call, till the day I die. That's the house call. That's the house call. Answering the call, that's the house call. One bag, that's the house call. One road, one bag, one bag, one road, one dock, ease the load, one call. Always came, always came. Doc Bell made his last house call on a winter's frozen night. Drove out to a dying woman, crossed the icy white. He eased the gentle pass and held her hand until the end. Then his own heart gave out the doctor and the friend. The whole county came to bury him, the souls he'd served so long. The babies he delivered now, grown and standing strong. A young doctor took his black bag and his county route, a house call full of mercy that the years could not put out. They said, Doc, you're too old to drive these roads at night. I said, as long as folks are ailing, I'll be the light. I'll be the light. I'll come to your cabin when the fever's high. A house call, till the day I die. That's the house call. That's the house call. Answering the call, that's the house call. Doc Bell passed, that's the house call. But the black bag ride, the county roads, where the sickness hides. The young doc answers, big and small, carrying on the house call. Soda rings at the shop on Diamond Way. 40 years of sparkle and the love that came to stay. Came a boy at the 5:15 with his savings in his fist, counting out the dollars for a ring he couldn't twist. He says, sir, I love a girl, but I'm a poor man, that's the truth. I got 250 saved from the working of my youth. Stein, he looked at the boy and the love behind his eyes, pulled a ring out of the case, a beautiful surprise. Some jewelers sell on faith in a young man's love and rage. He said, how can I afford this? It's 1,000 more than mine. I said, son, you pay me slowly, a little at a time. Said, take the ring and ask her, let your love be told. Let your love be told. A jeweler's promise worth more than gold. That's the jeweler's promise. That's the jeweler's promise. Trust like a solid. That's the jeweler's promise. Stein, he let the young man take the ring upon his word. No contract and no interest, the kindest deal he'd heard. Said, I was a poor boy once, With a love and not a dime, a jeweler trusted me back then, gave me all the time. The boy, he asked his sweetheart, and she wept and she said yes. A ring upon her finger that a jeweler's faith would bless. He paid it back so faithful, $10 at a time. A jeweler's promise kept by a love that learned to climb. Some jewelers sell on faith, sell on faith in a young man's love and raise. He said, how can I afford this? It's 1,000 more than mine. I said, son, you pay me slowly, a little at a time. Said, take the ring and ask her, let your love be told. Let your love be told. A jeweler's promise worth more than gold. That's the jeweler's promise. That's the jeweler's promise. Trust like a solid. That's the jeweler's promise. One ring, one word, one yes, one's heard, one trust, payback. One ring, one word, one yes, one's heard. One trust, payback. That couple, they got married and they raised the family proud. They came back to the jeweler with their grandkids in a crowd. Said, you trusted us with the ring when we had not a thing. Mr. Stein, he smiled and said, now that's the joy I bring. When Stein grew old, the young man, now gray, he bought the store. Kept the jeweler's promise for the poor lovers at the door. Now there's a young man with a ring and a love he can't afford. A jeweler's promise, trusting in the love that he adored. He said, how can I afford this? It's 1,000 more than mine. I said, son, you pay me slowly, a little at a time. So take the ring and ask her, let your love be told. Let your love be told. A jeweler's promise worth more than gold. Jeweler's promise, that's the jeweler's promise. Trust like a solid, that's the jeweler's promise. Stein, he passed, but the shop still gleams, trusting young lovers in their dreams. The man he helped now keeps the practice, carrying on the jeweler's promise. PG rode the horses for 40 years and more. The smartest man in the saddle, but the bravest at the door. At 55 and aching, he had one last ride to run. The race his late wife loved before her days were done. The trainer said, you're too old, kid, you'll break upon the track. He said, this one's for my Nelly, ain't no turning back. Said she loved this old mistakes, used to cheer me from the rail. A jockey's last ride for a love beyond the veil. Some races run for love, some riders blessed above. They said, why you ride at your age? You got nothing to prove. I said, this race is for my Nelly, for the way she moves. Said, I'll take the rail and ride her home for my bride. A jockey's last and finest ride, that's the jockey's last ride. That's the jockey's last ride. That's the jockey's last ride. With Nelly beside, that's the jockey's last ride. The gated sprang at the 213 and Pidgey took the rail. A little man and an old horse and a love that would not fail. He whispered to A jockey's last ride, one for love and grace. Oh, some races run for love, some riders blessed above. They said, why you ride at your age? You got nothing to prove. I said, this race is for my Nelly, for the way she moves. Said, I'll take the rail and ride her home for my bride. For my bride. A jockey's last and fine is a ride. That's the jockey's last ride. That's the jockey's last ride. That's the jockey's last ride. With Nelly beside. That's the jockey's last ride. One gate, one rail, one ride, one fail, one love, a road home. Pidgey hung his silks up after that one final win, dedicated to the woman and the love they lived in. He took to training young ones, the small and the afraid, taught them that a jockey rides for more than the wage they're paid. He kept his Nelly's photo in the saddle by his side, told the young ones of the love and the meaning of the ride. When pitch passed, they ran to make stakes with the black band on the rail. A jockey's last ride, living in the wind and in the tail. They said, why you ride at your age? You got nothing to prove. I said, this race is for my Nelly, for the way she moves. Said, I'll take the rail and ride her home for my bride. For my bride. A jockey's last and finest ride. That's the jockey's last ride. That's the jockey's last ride. That's the jockey's last ride. With Nelly beside. That's the jockey's last ride. Pidgey rode off to his Nelly's side. Two souls reunited on the other ride. And the young ones race with the love of the sky, carrying on the jockey's last ride. That's the knitting circle. 5 old women gathered at the church on Plainview Street, needles clicking softly in the early evening heat. They knit the tiny caps and booties at the 7 sharp, for the babies born too early with a struggle in their heart. Up at the hospital, the preemies fought to stay alive, and the little knitted caps would help the smallest ones survive. Miss Ada led the circle, said, now knit them soft and warm. A knitting circle blessing every tiny newborn form. Some needles knit a prayer for the babies fighting there. They said, why you knit for babies that you'll never meet? I said, every preemie's precious, every heart's a beat. Said, we'll knit them caps so tiny, soft and bright, a knitting circle through the night. That's the knitting circle. That's the knitting circle. Love in a pearl, oh, that's the knitting circle. Each of those old women had a sorrow they had known, a grandbaby they lost, or a child of their own. They knit their grief to caps for the babies in the ward, the tiniest of fighters that the nurses watched and guard. Miss Ada lost a preemie in the long ago and far. Now she knits for all the little ones, each one a star. The circle they knit hundreds, sent them up the hill. A knitting circle's mercy that the lost could never kill. Some needles knit a prayer for the babies fighting. knitting circle. That's the knitting circle. A love and a pearl. That's the knitting circle. One cap, one booty, one babe, pull through, five hands. Knit love, knit love. Oh, my young mother came to the church on Plainview one spring day with a healthy little boy who'd been a preemie far away. She held him up and said, "This cap, it saved my baby's head." A knitting circle's mercy when I feared that he was dead. The women wept to see the child grown strong and well, the fruit of all their knitting, more than words could tell. And now the young mother joins the circle, knits the cap so small. A knitting circle's love that keeps on blessing all. They said, "Why you knit for babies that you'll never meet?" I said, "Every preemie's precious, every heart's a beat." Said we knit them caps so tiny, soft and bright, a knitting circle through the night. That's the knitting circle. That's the knitting circle. Love and a pearl. That's the knitting circle. They say the past, but the needles clip caps for the preemie, soft and quick. And the young moms knit now, every little miracle, carry it on the knitting circle. Yeah. Tommy sailed the merchant ships across the wide and rolling main. 6 months gone at a stretch through the sunshine and the rain. He'd write to his grace each evening at the 9 o'clock, a letter for the woman waiting back upon the dock. He said, "My darling Grace, the sea is lonely and so wide, but I carry you within me, you're forever at my side." He'd mail them from the ports of call across the foreign lands, letters from the sea to a love with empty hands. Some letters cross the phone to a love that waits at home. She said, "Tom, how can I bear it? You're gone so long from me." Yeah. I said, "Grace, I write you nightly from the lonely sea." Said you read my words and know that I'm coming home, coming home. Letters from the sea won't let you roam. That's letters from sea, that's letters from sea. Love crossing the spree. That's letters from sea. Grace, she kept his letters in a box beside her bed. Read them over nightly, every loving word he said. She'd write him back and send them to the ports along his way. A conversation crossing oceans, holding love at bay. 6 months at a stretch, she wait for the ship to come. Standing at the harbor when she heard the engines hum. Tom would run down the gangway to his grace upon the shore. A sailor and his letters and a love worth waiting for. Some letters cross the phone to a love that waits at home. She said, "Tom, how can I bear it? You're gone so long from me." Yeah. I said, "Grace, I write you nightly from the lonely sea." Said you read my words and know that I'm coming home, coming home. Letters from the sea won't let you roam. That's letters from sea, that's letters from sea. Love crossing the spree, love crossing the spree. That's letters from sea. One pen a sailor and his grace, in a love that crossed the spree. She said, Tom, how can I bear it? You're gone so long from me. Oh, 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 oh. I said, Grace, I write you nightly from the lonely sea. Said you read my words and know that I'm coming home. Letters from the sea, won't let you roam. That's letters from sea, that's letters from sea. Love crossing the spree, love crossing the spree. That's letters from sea. The grace she passed with the box held near, reunited with a Tom, no longer drear. And the grandkids keep the letters, the decree, carrying on the love of letters from sea. Yeah, yeah. Travis took the night class at the school on Founders Street. 40 years old and learning what a child could repeat. He dropped out as a young man, went to work the line, hiding that he couldn't read a single road sign. At the 7 every evening he would slip into the back, a grown man with a notebook and a courage he didn't lack. The teacher, Miss Calloway, said, come sit up front with me. A night school full of grown-ups learning how to be free. Some classrooms hold the brave, the grown-up souls, they say. He said, ma'am, I'm too old to learn what I should've known. I said, Travis, it's never too late. You ain't alone. You ain't alone. Said you read the words out loud and you hold your head. A night school's where the future's fair. That's night school. That's night school. That's night school. Learning's the right rule. Oh, that's night school. Travis struggled with the letters that the children breeze right through, but he came back every evening, determined to break through. Said my daddy never let me, make me work the field. Now I'm 40 and I'm hiding what a shame is sealed. But my own kids are learning and I wanna read them tales. A night school giving courage where the old shame fails. He read his first whole sentence in the class, they all applauded. A grown man and a teacher and a victory awarded. Some classrooms hold the brave, the grown-up souls, they say. He said, ma'am, I'm too old to learn what I should've known. I should've known. I said, Travis, it's never too late. Oh, you ain't alone. You ain't alone. Said you read the words out loud and you hold your head. Night school's where the future's fair. That's night school. That's night school. That's night school. Learning's the right rule. That's night school. Yeah, yeah. One desk, one book, one man. Took a look, one word. Set free. One day, one day. Oh, Travis earned his diploma at the age of 43. Walked the stage with his children watching, proud as he could be. He read them bedtime stories that he never read before. The night school had unlocked 1,000 brand new doors. He came back to teach the others, the grown-ups in the back, the ones who hid like he did, who the world had gone off track. Now he leads the night class on the corner of Founders Street. A night school's chain of courage where the lost ones meet. Oh, he said, ma'am, I'm too old to learn what I should've known. I should've known. I said, Travis, it's never too late. Ooh, you ain't alone. You ain't alone. Said you read the words out loud and you hold your head. A night school's where the future's fair. That's night school. That's night school. That's night school. Learning's the right rule. Oh, that's night school. Miss Calloway passed, but the lights stay on. But the lights stay on. Grown-ups learning from dusk to dawn. last harvest on the land, for the bank would take it all. 5 generations grew here at the break of every day, but the debt had come a-calling and the orchard couldn't stay. His daughter walked beside him at the 443, said, "Daddy, we'll come through this, we'll plant another tree." He said, "Baby, this is goodbye to the trees my granddad grew, the last apples of a lifetime and the love that they once knew. Some orchards hold a name, hold a name. Some losses feel like flame." She said, "Daddy, don't you grieve it, we still got each other near." I said, "Baby, these old apple trees, they raised us all right here, raised us all right here." Said, "We'll pick the last together, hand in hand, one final harvest from the land." That's the orchard soul, that's the orchard soul. Memories of gold, that's the orchard soul. They picked the apples one last time in the golden afternoon, Holt and his daughter humming an old familiar tune. He told her of his granddad who had planted every row, the weddings and the funerals the orchard came to know. Said the bank can take the acres, but they cannot take the years, the harvest and the laughter and the love between the tears. He filled a basket with the best and set it by the gate, a final orchard offering before the closing day. Some orchards hold a name, hold a name. Some losses feel like flame, flame. She said, "Daddy, don't you grieve it, we still got each other near." I said, "Baby, these old apple trees, they raised us all right here, raised us all right here." Said, "We'll pick the last together, hand in hand, one final harvest from the land." That's the orchard soul, that's the orchard soul. Memories of gold, that's the orchard soul. One row, one tree, one last memory, one land. Let go, let go. But the town had heard the story of the orchard going down, and the neighbors, they came together from all across the town. They pooled their dollars quiet and they paid the bank its due. Said, "An orchard that has fed us well, we'll keep it growing true." Holt, he wept to find his trees were saved by the hands of the folks' apples fed across the grateful lands. Now his daughter works the orchard and her children climb the trees. A harvest never sold, kept alive by neighbors' pleas. She said, "Daddy, don't you grieve it, we still got each other near." I said, "Baby, these old apple trees, they raised us all right here, raised us all right here." Pick the last together, hand in hand, one final harvest from the land. That's the orchard soul, that's the orchard soul. Memories of gold, that's the orchard soul. Holy passed me the apple shade in the orchard that the neighbors say, and his grandkids climb where the harvest grows. The orchard never truly sold, never sold. Abner sat there on the porch for 15 years and more, waiting for his boy who'd slammed and left through that front door. They fought about the future, and the boy had to run away. Said, "You'll never see me, old man," and he meant it that day. But Abner kept the porch light on at the 9:15. Sat there every evening like the years had never been. He said, "My boy will come back someday. I'll be sitting here, a father and a porch light, and a love that conquered fear." Some porches wait for years, wait for years, for a prodigal through the tears. They said, "Abner, he ain't coming, let the porch light die." I sent my boys out there somewhere neath the same old sky. Said, "I keep the light a-burning till he finds his way." A prodigal porch where love will stay. That's the prodigal porch. That's the prodigal porch. A light like a torch. That's the prodigal porch. The boy had gone and wandered through the hard and bitter years, made his big mistakes and shed his prideful tears. He thought his daddy hated him, thought the door was barred, too ashamed to come back home and face the broken yard. But word came to him one autumn that his daddy's light still burned, that an old man on a porch had waited and had yearned. The boy, he started driving with a hope he didn't know, a prodigal heading homeward till the porches glow. Some porches wait for years, wait for years, for a prodigal through the tears. They said, "Abner, he ain't coming, let the porch light die." I sent my boys out there somewhere neath the same old sky. Said, "I keep the light a-burning till he finds his way." A prodigal porch where love will stay. That's the prodigal porch. That's the prodigal porch. A light like a torch. That's the prodigal porch. Oh, yeah. One porch, one light, one sun, one dad, still wait. He pulled up at the 213 to the house upon the lane. The porch light still was burning through the soft and falling rain. And there sat his old daddy, grayer now and bent, the man who'd waited 15 years for the boy he'd sent. The sun fell on the porch steps and he wept, "I'm sorry, Pa." Abner pulled him up and held him, said, "I knew you'd come, hurrah." No anger and no judgment, just the love that never died. A prodigal porch where a father waited with his pride. They said, "Abner, he ain't coming, let the porch light die." Porch light die. Up there somewhere neath the same old sky. Same old sky. Light a-burning till he finds his way. A prodigal porch where love will stay. That's the prodigal porch. That's the prodigal porch. A light like a torch. That's the prodigal porch. Abner passed, but the boy stayed home. Keeps the porch light on, so none need roam for his own kids out there. The search carrying on the prodigal porch. And the projector at the Rialto on Main. 50 years of reels through the laughter and the pain. The last night at the 9:15 before they tore it down, he threaded up the final film for the whole grave. grateful town. He said, this booth has been my home since I was just a kid. Watched 1,000 pictures flicker every frame I hit. Tonight I run the last one and the lights go dark for good. A projectionist saying farewell the only way he could. Some booths hold a light, some booths hold a light, some reels outlast the strife. They said more is just a theater, why you grieve it so? I said this booth held my whole world in the picture glow. Said I'll thread the final reel and let it spin one last show before the dark sets in. That's the projection booth. That's the projection booth. A flickering truth. That's the projection booth. Morty giving the town his dreams for 100 years. The first kiss in the balcony, the joy and all the tears. He thought about the couples who had courted in the dark, the children's eyes that widened at the cartoon spark. Said I never married, never had a child of my own, but this booth and these pictures, well, they never left me alone. He threaded up the final frame with a tremble and a sigh, a projectionist in a lifetime flickering goodbye. Some booths hold a light, some booths hold a light, some reels outlast the strife. They said more, that's just a theater, why you grieve it so? I said this booth held my whole world in the picture glow. Said I thread the final reel and let it spin one last show for the dark sets in. That's the projection booth. That's the projection booth. A flickering truth. That's the projection booth. One reel, one night, one booth. That's night, one reel. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. The town, they didn't tear it down when they saw Omar weep. A young woman bought the Rialto, said the dream will keep. She made more, the keeper of the booth he loved so long. Taught the children how the pictures and the reels belong. Now the Rialto's running the marquee bright once more, and Morty runs the projector like the days of yore. He's training up a youngster in the flickering light, a projection booth, a memory burning warm and bright. They said Morty's just a theater, why you grieve it so? I said this booth held my whole world in the picture glow. Said I thread the final reel and let it spin one last show before the dark sets in. That's the projection booth. That's the projection booth. A flickering truth. That's the projection booth. Morty passed in the booth one night, in the booth one night. The reel's still spinning a silver light, and the youngster threads it now, uncool, carrying on the love of the projection booth. Brody came home from the war with his legs all torn, a purple heart upon his chest and his spirit nearly won. At the rehab center at the 9:15 each day, he fought to learn to walk again, the hard and bitter way. His wife Ann beside him said, baby, take my hand. He said, Ann, I'm only half a man, you don't understand. understand. She said, you're twice the man I married. Now you take a step from me. A purple heart and a love that wouldn't flee. Some hearts heal the broken with a love that's left unspoken. He said, and why do you stay with a man so torn apart? I said, Brody, 'cause I married you, not your legs, your heart. He said, you take one step today and another more. A purple heart walks through the door. That's the purple heart. That's the purple heart. A brand new start. That's the purple heart. Brody fell 100 times on the parallel bars, and she caught him every time, kissed away the scars. Said the doctor say, I'll never run, I'll never dance with you. She said, baby, we'll dance slow then, that's all we've got to do. He gritted through the therapy, the sweat and the pain, and she cheered him onward through the sunshine and the rain. Step by painful step, he learned to stand and walk. A purple heart and a love too strong to bow. Some hearts heal the broken with a love that's left unspoken. He said, and why do you stay with a man so torn apart? I said, Brody, 'cause I married you, not your legs, your heart. Not your legs, your heart. Said you take one step today and another more. A purple heart walks through the door. That's the purple heart. That's the purple heart. A brand new start. That's the purple heart. One step, one fall, one wife through it all. One heart walked on. Oh, a year went by and Brody walked his daughter down the aisle on his own two ruined legs every painful mile. And she watched him from the front pew, tears upon her face. The man who learned to walk again through love and grit and grace. At the reception he stood up and he danced with Ann so slow. The purple heart who'd risen from the lowest of the low. Now he counsels wounded soldiers at the center where he healed. The purple heart of courage and the love that it revealed. He said, and why do you stay with a man so torn apart? I said, Brody, 'cause I married you, not your legs, your heart. Said you take one step today and another more. A purple heart walks through the door. That's the purple heart. That's the purple heart. A brand new start. That's the purple heart. Ooh. Brody grew old with his hand beside the wounded soldier and his faithful bride. He counsels the broken, every shattered part, carrying on the hope of the purple heart. Face, she stitched a quilt in the corner of her room. 40 years of fabric squares against the gathering gloom. Each square a name, a family that the years had taken on. A husband and a daughter and the loved ones who were gone. She'd sew at the 7 in the evening by the lamp, adding to the quilt of names, the grief and the stamp. She said every square's a soul that I have loved and lost. A quilt of names to keep them near no matter what the cost. Some quilts hold the dead in the warmth warmth of every thread. They said, Granny, why you stole the names of those who passed? I said, baby, this here quilt is how I make the love last. Said each square's a face that I will not let go, not let go. A quilt of names to keep them so. That's the quilt of names, that's the quilt of names. Love that remains. That's the quilt of names. Face, she tell the stories of each square upon the quilt. The husband that she buried and the life that they had built. A square of her son's old work shirt who died so young. A patch of her late daughter's dress. The songs they'd sung. The grandkids gathered around her as she sewed and as she spoke, learning all the family in the fabric and the yoke. She said, when I am gone, you wrap up in this quilt, and you'll feel all the love that the family had built. Some quilts hold the day in the warmth of every thread. They said, Granny, why you stole the names of those who passed? I said, baby, this here quilt is how I make the love last. Said each square's a fate that I will not let go, not let go. A quilt of names to keep them so. That's the quilt of names, that's the quilt of names. Love that remains. That's the quilt of names. Oh, one square, one name, one thread, one flame, one quilt. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Granny face, she passed one winter and they wrapped her in the quilt. The names of all she loved around the grief and all she built. Her granddaughter took the needle and she added one more square. A patch of Granny's apron, sewn with love and care. Now she sold the family quilt for the ones who pass away. Each name a fabric memory that the love won't let decay. She tells her own grandbabies of the faces in the seams. A quilt of names that keeps alive a family's dreams. They say, Granny, why you stole the names of those who passed? I said, baby, this here quilt is how I make the love last. Said each square's a face that I will not let go. A quilt of names to keep them so. That's the quilt of names, that's the quilt of names. Love that remains. That's the quilt of names. Face she rests, but the quilt grows on. New squares added for the loved ones gone. The loved ones gone. Generations wrapped in the warmth it claimed. Carrying on the quilt of names. My mama's careful hand. Sunday gravy written down the way she planned. She passed in the autumn and the kitchen went so still. But I found her box of cards on the windowsill. At the 4 o'clock one Sunday, I tied her apron on, pulled the card out trembling for the mama who was gone. It said a pinch of this and a handful of the love. A recipe card and a mama watching from above. Some cards hold a hand that you'll always understand. My daughter said, why you crying over flour and a pot? I said, baby, this here recipe is all of her I got, all of her I got. Said your grandma's in these measures in the simmer slow. A recipe card keeps the love aglow. That's the recipe card. That's the recipe card. Love that's bed, and the whole house, it filled up with my mama, living fed. The smell, it brought her back to me, her humming and her grace. The Sunday afternoons of love in that old gathering place. My daughter stood beside me, learning every careful note, the pinch and the handful that my mama wrote. We stirred the pot together and we wept and then we smiled. A recipe card connecting mother, daughter, child. Some cards hold a hand, some cards hold a hand that you'll always understand. My daughter said, "Why you crying over flour in a pot?" I said, "Baby, this here recipe is all of her I got, all of her I got." Said, "Your grandma's in these measures, in the simmer slow, a recipe card. Easy love aglow." That's the recipe card. That's the recipe card. Love that's never marred. That's the recipe card. One card, one card, one pot, one pot. We got one love. Still cooks, still cooks, still cooks, still cooks. Ooh, now every Sunday gathering, I cook my mama's way. The gravy on the stove and the love, it won't decay. My daughter copied down a card in her own careful hand, a recipe to carry to a daughter she has planned. The grandkids gather around a pot and they learn to simmer slow. A great-grandmother living in the greatest golden glow. We pass it down to women like a heartbeat and a name. A recipe card, a love that always stays the same. My daughter said, "Why you crying over flour and a pot?" I said, "Baby, this here recipe is all of her I got, all of her I got." Said, "Your grandma's in these measures, in the simmer slow, a recipe card, love aglow." That's the recipe card. That's the recipe card. Love that's never marred. That's the recipe card. The card is soft as cloth, from the years, for generations, and the grateful tears, Sunday gravy simmering. The regard, carrying on the recipe card. Two old men sat down at the diner on Route 4. Hadn't seen each other since the year of the war. Sergeant Whitey, gray and bent at the noon o'clock, recognized each other through the years and the shock. Whitey said, "Is that you, Sarge, after all this time?" Sarge wept and grabbed his hand, said, "Brother, you're a sight sublime. 50 years since the foxhole where they'd saved each other's life. Two old soldiers reunited past the decades and the strife. Some brothers find their way back to a long lost day." He says, "Sarge, I thought you died in that village by the sea." I said, "Whitey, you're the reason that there's any me." Said, "You carried me through fire when I couldn't crawl." A reunion diner says it all. That's the reunion diner. That's the reunion diner. Nothing could be finer. Nothing could be finer. That's the reunion diner. They talked for hours at the diner of the days of long ago. The brothers that they buried and the fear they used to know. Whitey pulled his sleeve up, showed the scar upon his arm. Said, you tied this off and dragged me out and kept me safe from harm. Sarge showed a photo of the squad they used to be. Most of them gone now, just the two beneath the tree. They ordered up the special and they laughed until they cried. Two old soldiers, grateful that the other hadn't died. Some brothers find their way back to a long lost day. Said, Sarge, I thought you died in that village by the sea. I said, Whitey, you're the reason that there's enemy. Said you carried me through fire and I couldn't crawl. A reunion diner says it all. That's the reunion diner. That's the reunion diner. Nothing could be finer. Nothing could be finer. That's the reunion diner. One group, one more, two men, once more, one bond, held on. They became inseparable in their final golden years. Met each week at the diner, traded laughter for the tears. Sat in the same old booth where they found each other again. Two old soldiers in the brotherhood that war had carved in them. When Whitey passed away, old Sarge, he gave the eulogy. Said, this man saved my life twice, once in war and once in need. Now Sarge sits in the booth alone, but he orders to a reunion diner, honoring a bond forever true. He said, Sarge, I thought you died in that village by the sea. I said, Whitey, you're the reason that there's enemy. Said you carried me through fire when I couldn't crawl. A reunion diner says it all. That's the reunion diner. That's the reunion diner. Nothing could be finer. Nothing could be finer. That's the reunion diner. Sarge passed and they sat them side by side. Side by side. Two old soldiers with the war as guide. And the diner keeps their booth, the joiner, honoring forever the reunion diner. I've searched for years to find the mother that she lost, giving up at birth to the world at any cost. She found a name in a city at the 213. One day, a birth mother named Lena, who lived or stayed away. She wrote a trembling letter, said, I'm the child you gave, the daughter that you carried, the one you tried to save. Lena read it weeping for the girl she'd had to leave. A reunion gate of mercy that the years could not retrieve. Some gates they open wide, some gates they open wide, for a mother and child's pride. She said, are you my mama, the one who gave me up? I said, baby, I have prayed for you, my long lost buttercup. Said I was young and frightened and I had no way. A reunion gate has come today. That's the reunion gate. That's the reunion gate. Love won't dissipate. That's the reunion gate. They met at the airport at the 443. Two women who share blood across the years apart, set free. Lena held for all those years. The baby sheet surrender turned to joy among the tears. She said, I never stopped to love you. I thought of you each night. Kept your little hospital band. I held it oh so tight. Ivy showed her photos of the life that she had grown. A reunion gate where a mother found her own. Some gates they open wide. Some gates they open wide for a mother and child's pride. Child's pride. She said, are you my mama? The one who gave me up. I said, baby, I have prayed for you, my long lost buttercup. Said I was young and frightened and I had no way. A reunion gate has come today. That's the reunion gate. That's the reunion gate. Love won't dissipate. That's the reunion gate. One letter, one name, one mind, one flame, one child came home. Ivy and her Lena made the years up that they lost. Sunday dinners and her holidays, no matter what the cost. Lena met her grandbabies, the family she'd missed. The reunion gate had opened to a love that years had kissed. When Lena passed away, old Ivy held her hand. Said, Mama, I'm so grateful that I got to understand. Now she helps the others find the mothers that they've lost. A reunion gate of mercy, never counted up the cost. She said, are you my mama? The one who gave me up. I said, baby, I have prayed for you, my long lost buttercup. Said I was young and frightened and I had no way. A reunion gate has come today. That's the reunion gate. That's the reunion gate. Love won't dissipate. Hey, that's the reunion gate. Lena passed, but the love it stays. And Ivy reunites the lost always. Mothers and children no more separate. Carrying on the reunion gate. Ow! Yeah. Ezra worked the cotton on another man's land. 30 years of stooping with the dirt upon his hand. Up at the 5 in the morning before the sun had even shone. Working ground he'd never owned to feed a boy he'd grown. He said, son, you ain't gonna pick this cotton like your kin. You're gonna take the school books, you're gonna rise and win. I'll break my back in the road so you don't have to break yours. A sharecropper opening up his boys some better doors. Some fathers bend in the field, so a son's whole life is healed. He said, Daddy, let me help you, let me work the rows. I said, son, you keep on studying, that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. Said, I'll pick the cotton till my hands are raw and worn. A sharecropper's son gets reborn. That's the sharecropper's son, that's the sharecropper's son. A new race to run, that's the sharecropper's son. Ezra saved each penny that the landlord let him keep. Hid them in a mason jar, buried down deep. So this is for your college, son, this is for your gown. The first in all our family to wear a learning crown. He picked the cotton sun up to the falling of the night. His body slowly breaking, but his spirit spirit shining bright. The boy, he studied nightly by the kerosene's glow. A sharecropper's son rising from the cotton's row. Some fathers bend in the field, so his son's whole life is healed. He said, Daddy, let me help you, let me work the road. I said, son, you keep on studying, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, that I'll pick the cotton till my hands are raw and worn. A sharecropper's son gets reborn. That's the sharecropper's son, that's the sharecropper's son. A new race to run, that's the sharecropper's son. One field, one jar, one son, went far, one dad, baby low. That boy, he went to college on the cotton money job. Became a doctor, healing folks both near and far. He came back to the cotton field where his daddy still would stoop. Said, Daddy, put the sack down, you don't pick another scoop. He bought the land his father worked on another man's command. Gave the deed to Ezra, said, now this is your land. Ezra wept to own the ground he worked for all his years. A sharecropper's son, repaying with the sweetest tears. He said, Daddy, let me help you, let me work the road. I said, son, you keep on studying, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, that I'll pick the cotton till my hands are raw and worn. A sharecropper's son gets reborn. That's the sharecropper's son, that's the sharecropper's son. A new race to run, that's the sharecropper's son. Ezra died on land that was his own. The cotton grows where his love had grown. In the doctor tends the fields, the battle won. Woo, carrying on the sharecropper's son. Petey worked the soda fountain at the corner drug. 40 years of malts and the cherry cola jug. There's an old man comes each evening at the 5:15. Orders 2 vanilla sodas, the saddest, sweetest scene. Petey said, sir, who's the second? You always order 2. The old man smiled so gentle, said, well, that one's for Sue. Said, we courted at this counter in the summer of our youth. She's gone now, but I order hers, that's the simple truth. Some fountains pour a past, some fountains pour a past, some love is built to last. He said, son, just keep them coming, the 2 like always do. I said, sir, tell me about her, about your sweetheart Sue. Said, this counter's where I met her, where my whole life turned, my whole life turned. A soda fountain, love I earned, that's the soda fountain, that's the soda fountain. Sweet as a mountain, that's the soda fountain. Petey heard the story over many an evening pour, how the old man met his Sue at the counter years before. 2 vanilla sodas and a nickel jukebox tune. A first kiss in a booth in the warm of early June. 60 years they'd come there on the anniversary night. 2 vanilla sodas in the soft fluorescent light. Now she's gone, but he keeps coming, orders hers the same. A soda fountain holding a forever burning flame. Some fountains pour a past, some fountains pour a past. Some love is built to last, some love is built to last. He said, son, just keep them coming, the 2 like always do. I said, sir, tell me about her, about your sweetheart Sue. Said, this counter's where I met her, where my whole life turned, my whole life turned. A soda fountain, the counter felt the loss. Petey poured 2 sodas and he felt the weeping cost. He said one at the empty stool where the old man used to sit, and one for the memory of a love that wouldn't quit. Now Petey tells a story to the young ones courting there, how a soda fountain held a love beyond compare. He keeps the old man's stool reserved with a little brass plate, a soda fountain shrine to a love that conquered fate. He said, son, just keep them coming, the two like always do. I said, sir, tell me about her, about your sweetheart Sue. Said, this counter's where I met her, where my whole life turned, my whole life turned. A soda fountain, love I earned. That's the soda fountain, that's the soda fountain, sweet as a mountain. That's the soda fountain. He grew old at the fountain's gleam, telling the young of the old man's dream. 2 sodas still poured at the brass plate mountain. Love living on at the soda fountain. Yeah. Nettie marked the stables at the track on Clover Down. 40 years of horses, the lowest job around. There's an old racehorse named Thunder who had won them all his day, but now he's lame and aging and they meant to send away. The owner said he's finished, ship him off, he's done. Nettie stood between them, said, now hold on everyone. Said, this horse, he gave you glory, when your purse is bright and grand. You don't ship him to the slaughter, not while I'm a stable hand. Some hands won't let them go, let them go, the old ones that they know. They said Nettie's just a horse, his racing days are spent. I said this old champion deserves more than what you miss. Said I'll buy him with my savings every dime I've got, every dime I've got. Stable hand won't see him shy. That's the stable hand, that's the stable hand, making a stand. That's the stable hand. Nettie spent his savings, 1,200 for the steed. Bought the old horse Thunder in his hour of need. Said you carried all these rich men to the winner's bride array. Now I'll carry you, old friend, to a green and easy day. He turned him out to pasture on a little plot he leased, where the old champion could graze and find his peace. Nettie'd visit every evening, brush his gray and mane, a stable hand and a racehorse. No more whip or rain. Some hands won't let them go, let them go, the old ones that they know. They said Nettie's just a horse, his racing days are spent. I said this old champion deserves more than what you miss. Said I buy him with my savings every dime I've got, every dime I've got. Stable hand won't see him shy. That's the stable hand, that's the stable hand, making a stand. That's the stable hand. One horse, one field, one man, won't yield, one friend lived on. Thunder lived for years in the pasture, green and wide. Ned beside him daily till the morning that he died. They buried the old champion neath the shade of an oak, a stable hand who loved him more than any rich The retired ones get pastures instead of slaughter and the brand. A herd of grateful champions saved by the stable hand. They said Nettie's just a horse, his racing days are spent. I said this old champion deserved more than what you meant. Said I buy him with my savings, every dime I've got, every dime I got. Stable hand won't see him shot. That's the stable hand, that's the stable hand making a stand. That's the stable hand. Eddie passed neath the same old by thunder's grave where the love be spoke, and the rescued horses graze the land, carrying on the heart of the stable hand. Big Mama Hattie wore a hat to the church on Glory Road. 40 years of Sundays in the finest that she showed. A wide-brimmed crown of feathers and a ribbon bright and bold. The proudest woman praising in the congregation's fold. She passed in the autumn and we cleaned her little place. There it sat upon the dresser, the hat of Sunday grace. My sister said, we'll box it up, it's just an old one thing. I said, no, that's where she worshiped, that's the crown that made her sing. Some hats hold a praise and a faithful woman's way. She said, it's only feathers, sis, let the old hat be. I said, you wear it Sunday, then you'll see, then you'll see. Said, big mama's in the brim and the ribbons flow. A Sunday hat keeps the faith aglow. That's the Sunday hat, the Sunday hat. Faith where she sat, that's the Sunday hat. Faith where she sat, that's the Sunday hat. My sister wore it Sunday to the church on Glory Road, and the whole congregation wept to see the crown she showed. For Big Mama Hattie's hat had led the praising for so long. The amen and the hallelujah and the gospel song. She walked in like our grandma, the feathers held up high, and the choir they sang louder than you heard the angels nigh. She said, you was right, I feel the praising all around. A Sunday hat that carries faith on holy ground. Some hats hold a praise and a faithful woman's way. She said, it's only feathers, sis, let the old hat be. I said, you wear it Sunday, then you'll see, then you'll see. So Big Mama's in the brim and the ribbons flow. A Sunday hat keeps the faith aglow. That's the Sunday hat, that's the Sunday hat. Faith where she sat, that's the Sunday hat. One crown, one faith, handed down, one praise, lives on, yeah. Da 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 da. Now my sister's got a daughter and the girl is turning 8. Wears Big Mama's Sunday hat through the chapel gate. She learns the hymns of her great-grandma, the praising in the song, the faith inside the feathers where the family belong. 4 generations worshiping beneath the same old brim, the hat that led the praising when the lights were getting dim. We pass it down the women like a heartbeat and a name. A Sunday hat of faith that always stays the same. She said, it's only feathers, just let the old hat be. I said, you wear it Sunday, you'll see, then you'll see. Said Big Mama's in the brim and the ribbons flow. A Sunday 9/15, 42nd anniversary of the day they've been. His Marion was buried there beneath the willow shade, but Gil, he kept the date the way the vows they'd made. He set a little table by the stone with a cloth so white, 2 plates and a candle for the anniversary night. He said, Marion, happy anniversary. I brought your favorite kind, a widower and a graveside, and a love that wouldn't unwind. Some dates you still observe, with the love that they deserve. They said, Gil, she's gone, old friend, why you set the plate? I said, 'cause it's our anniversary, and love don't have a date. Said I'll bring her favorite flowers to the willow tree. The anniversary of you and me, that's the anniversary, that's the anniversary. Love's adversary, no, that's the anniversary. Hey, Gil, he poured 2 glasses and he toasted to his bride. Told her all the year's events as he sat there by her side. The grandkids and the garden and the little things she loved, the ordinary heaven that he shared with her above. He played their song on a little radio he'd bring, danced beside the headstone in the cool of early spring. Said 42 years married and I'm married to you still. An anniversary of devotion on the willow hill. Some dates you still observe, with the love that they deserve. They said, Gil, she's gone, old friend, why you set the plate? I said, 'cause it's our anniversary, and love don't have a date. Said I bring her favorite flowers to the willow tree. An anniversary of you and me, that's the anniversary, that's the anniversary. Love's adversary, no, that's the anniversary. One stone, one day, one love. Wanna bathe, one toe. Each year. Every year Gil came there to the willow on the rise. The anniversary kept faithful neath the gray and weeping skies. His children thought it sorrowful, but Gil, he'd shake his head. Said it ain't sad, it's a wedding that the years have never shed. When Gil himself passed over, they laid him by her side. 2 stones beneath the willow, the groom beside the bride. Now their grandkids bring the flowers on their anniversary. A love that death could not divide beneath the willow tree. They said, Gil, she's gone, old friend, why you set the plate? I said, 'cause it's our anniversary, and love don't have a date. Said I'll bring her favorite flowers to the willow tree. An anniversary of you and me, that's the anniversary, that's the anniversary. Love's adversary, no, that's the anniversary. Gil and Marion neath the willow light, reunited now beneath the sky. And the grandkids bring the flowers, ooh, the legacy, carrying on the anniversary. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Watch the road each day for the telegram boy. The dread of every mother with a son the war employed. He came at the 4 o'clock on a bicycle so slow, and every mother on the street felt their stomach drop below. She took the yellow paper with a shaking, frightened hand. but she read the words and fell down weeping on the floor. They said, your son is coming home alive from the war. Some telegrams bring joy, the living of a boy. The boy said, ma'am, are you alright? You're weeping on the ground. I said, son, this telegram is the sweetest ever found. Sweetest ever. Said, my boy's coming home, he's alive and well. A telegram with a tale to tell. That's the telegram, that's the telegram. Better than a song, that's the telegram. Wilma ran down the street with the yellow page held high, sharing the rare good news beneath the gray and weeping sky. She'd feared the worst for 3 long years, the dread of every night. Now her boy was coming home in the warm and golden light. She baked his favorite pies and she cleaned his childhood room, counted down the days until he chased away the gloom. The whole town shared her gladness for the boy who made it through. A telegram of mercy when so many telegrams were blue. Some telegrams bring joy, some telegrams bring joy, the living of a boy. The boy said, ma'am, are you alright? You're weeping on the ground. I said, son, this telegram is the sweetest ever found. Sweetest ever. Said, my boy's coming home, he's alive and well. A telegram with a tale to tell. That's the telegram, that's the telegram. Better than a song, that's the telegram. One page, one word, alive. She heard, one son comes home. Oh, he came at the 11:05 on the northbound train. Wilma at the platform in the soft and falling rain. He stepped down in his uniform, thinner but alive, and ran into his mama's arms, the proof that love survives. She held him like she never let the war take him again. A telegram of joy had brought a boy home from the pain, and every year thereafter, on the day the telegram came, they'd celebrate the living and they'd bless the mighty name. The boy said, ma'am, are you alright? Though weeping on the ground. I said, son, this telegram is the sweetest ever found. Sweetest ever. Said, my boy's coming home, he's alive and well. A telegram with a tale to tell. That's the telegram, that's the telegram. Better than a song, that's the telegram. Well, my past, but her son recalled the yellow page in the kitchen hall. And he tells his grandkids of the ground, forever grateful for the telegram. Tore the tickets at the picture house downtown. 40 years of velvet seats and the flickering light around. There's a pack of raggedy kids at the 7 every night, pressing little faces to the glass for a glimpse of the light. They had no nickels for a ticket, just a longing in their eyes. Linus, he would watch them and he'd hear their hungry sighs. He said, come on in, you young ones, there's empty seats in back. A usher slipping wonder to the kids the world would smack. Some ushers light the dark with a free and gentle encourager. That's the usher. The line is let the poor kids in through the side door every week. Gave them the back row magic that the empty pockets seek. He'd save them the spilled popcorn that the rich folks left behind. A feast and a movie for the hungry and the kind. Said I was a poor kid once with my face against the glass. An usher let me in one night and let the magic pass. I swore I'd do the same for every raggedy little soul. An usher giving wonder where the world had dug a hole. Some ushers like the door with a free and gentle spark. They said, "Mister, we got no money for the picture show." I said, "Young ones, the back row's empty and you go." Said, "Every child deserves a little magic like a free seat on a Saturday night." That's the usher. That's the usher. The dream encourager. That's the usher. One door, one row, one screen, one kid, let in, let in, let in. One of those raggedy children grew to make the films. A director spinning dreams in the silver screen realms. He came back to the picture house where old Liner stood. Said, "You let me in to wonder when nobody thought I could." Line is sold in gray now, tearing tickets still. The director bought the theater, said the magic won't go nil. Now the poor kids all get in for free on Saturday. And ushers old kindness that will never fade away. They said, "Mister, we got no money for the picture show." I said, "Young ones, the back row's empty and you go." Said, "Every child deserves a little magic like a free seat on a Saturday night." That's the usher. Oh, that's the usher. The dream encourager. That's the usher. Line is passed, but the theater stands free for the poor kids across the lands. The director keeps the back row, the gusher carrying on the heart of the usher. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Cole came home from the desert on the bus at noon, expecting empty streets and an afternoon. He'd been gone 3 years of fighting and he thought himself forgot. A soldier coming quiet to the little town he got. But the bus, it turned the corner at the 12 o'clock bell, and the whole town stood there waiting with a story they would tell. Banners and the marching band and the flags all waving high. A welcome home parade and the tears in every eye. Some towns remember well the soldiers in the swell. He said, "I thought you all forgot me, gone so far away." I said, "Son, we counted every single day you'd stay." Every day. Said the whole town came to greet you, banners high, a welcome home parade, and a grateful sky. That's the welcome home parade. That's the welcome home parade. The debt that we paid. That's the welcome home parade. Cole stepped off the bus into a sea of waving hands. The mayor and the children and the veterans and the bands. His mama at the front there with her arms flung open wide. His old high school trucks were honking and the church bells, they did ring. A whole town's love and gratitude for the soldier they would bring. He marched down Main Street, humble with the tears upon his face. A welcome home parade and a town's embrace. Some towns remember well the soldiers in the swell. He said, I thought you all forgot me, gone so far away. I said, son, we counted every single day you'd stay. Every day. Said the whole town came to greet you, banners high, a welcome home parade, and a grateful sky. That's the welcome home parade. That's the welcome home parade. The debt that we paid. That's the welcome home parade. One bus, one town, one sun, renown, one street, line deep. Ooh, Coley married his sweetheart in the church the very fall. The town that through the parade came and filled the hall. He never once forgot the day they showed him he was loved. A soldier in a town that he'd been thinking of. Now he organizes parades for every soldier home, so none of them comes back to a street that's cold and chrome. The bands they play, the banners wave for every uniform. A welcome home parade to keep the lonely soldiers warm. He said, I thought you all forgot me, gone so far away. I said, son, we counted every single day you'd stay. Every day. Said the whole town came to greet you, banners high, a welcome home parade, and a grateful sky. That's the welcome home parade. That's the welcome home parade. The debt that we paid. That's the welcome home parade. Cold grew old, but the parades go on. For every soldier home at the break of dawn. Banners in the bands in the streets cascade, carrying on the welcome home parade. Yeah. Yeah. Old Crane, he built the wagon wheels in the shop on Cedar Road. 60 years of spokes and rims in the long ago. A dying trade in a modern world where the engines hum and race. But Crane, he kept on turning wheels at his steady pace. Came a young man at the 9 o'clock who lost his job in wait. Said, sir, there ain't no future here, the world has passed this way. Crane, he handed him a spoke. Said, son, sit down and learn. A wheelwright and a lost young man and a trade to earn.
Some hands keep the old alive.
Some trades refuse to die. He said, why teach a dying trade that the world don't need? I said, son, a man who works with his hands is a man indeed.
Said you shake the spoke.
And true, the wheel just right. A wheelwright's hands can hold the line.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
Where the old trade stands.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hands. Ooh. Crane, he taught the young man how to shape and how to true the ancient craft of wheels that only a few still knew. Said my granddad built the wagons that settled all this land. Now it's down to me and you, son, the last of the band. The young man found a purpose in the spokes and in the rim, a dying trade reviving. shop dim. Crane said you keep it going when these old hands are gone. A wheelwright's hands, a heritage that the young must carry on.
Some hands keep the old alive.
Some trades refuse to die. He said, oh, I teach a dying trade that the world don't need. I said, son, a man who works with his hands is a man indeed.
Such a shape to spoke.
And true, the wheel just right. A wheelwright's hands can hold the light.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
Where the old trade stands.
That's the wheelwright's hands.
One spoke,
One wheel.
one wheel,
Not dim.
not dim,
One trade.
lies on.
Lives on.
Crane he passed one winter with his tools all in their place. The young man kept the workshop in the heritage and grace. He builds the wheels for the museums and the folks who love the old, keeping a dying trade alive that's worth this weight in gold. He teaches now the children how a wagon wheel is made. The ancient craft of spokes that old Crane had displayed. There's a sign above the shop that bears the old man's name. A wheelwright's hands, a heritage, and an everlasting flame. He said, why teach a dying trade that the world don't need? I said, son, a man who works with his hands is a man indeed.
Such a shape to spoke.
And true, the wheel just right. A wheelwright's hands can hold the light.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
Where the old trade stands.
That's the wheelwright's hand.
Crane he passed and the shop still turns.
Wheels of oak.
Where the lantern burns. And the young man
Teaches the children's bands.
carrying on the wheelwright's hands. Windows on the tower made of glass. 40 floors of squeegee where the clouds would pass. On the 14th floor, a sick child lay in a hospital bed. A little girl named Rosie with a scarf upon her head. Many saw her lonely through the window one gray day. Started something special in a quiet kind of way. He'd dress up as a hero when he reached her window pane. A window washer chasing off a sick girl's pain. Some washers bring a smile to a child for a while. She said, mister, why you wave at me in your cape so bold? I said, baby, 'cause your smile is worth more than gold. Worth more than gold. Said I come back every Tuesday in a brand new guise. A window washer for your eyes. That's the window washer. That's the window washer. Joy that he'll usher. That's the window washer. Every single Tuesday, Manny dangled by her glass, dressed up as a superhero so the lonely hours would pass. He'd press a drawing to the window, make a funny face, brought a sick girl laughter in a sterile, frightening place. Said, I got the daughter Rosie's age back at my home. I couldn't bear to think of her so sick and so alone. So I waved to all the children on the hospital floor. A window washer giving what the medicine can't store. Some washers bring a smile, bring a smile to a child for a while. Oh, she said, "Mister, why you wave at me in your cape so bold?" I said, "Baby, 'cause your smile is worth more than gold." Worth more than gold. Said I come back every Tuesday in a brand new guise, a window washer for your eyes. That's the window washer, that's the window washer. Joy that he'll usher, that's the window washer. One row, one pane, one girl, less pain, one cane, wave high, one row, one pane, girl, less pain, one cape. Rosie, she got better when she walked out of that ward. The window washers Tuesdays were a joy, she longed adored. Years went by and she grew up and she became a nurse on the children's floor, undoing all the sickness and the curse. She found old Manny washing, still the towel made of glass. Said, "You were my superhero when I thought I wouldn't pass." Now the washers all dress up for the children sick in bed. The window washers' kindness keeping hope and laughter fed. She said, "Mister, why you wave at me in your cape so bold?" I said, "Baby, 'cause your smile is worth more than gold." Worth more than gold. Said I come back every Tuesday, brand new guys, a window washer for your eyes. That's the window washer, that's the window washer. Joy